Hello, Lad Lane Leopards. Our next video is Adelita versus the Banza.
Adelita, a Mexican Cinderella story by Tommy de Paolo. Hace mucho tiempo, a long time ago, in a village in Mexico, there lived a merchant named Francisco and his beautiful wife, Adela. One day, Adela said, Francisco, estamos esperando un bebé. We're going to have a baby. Adela, Francisco said, me hace muy feliz saberlo. I am so happy. Then he said, we must send for Esperanza. She will come and take care of you until the baby is born, and then she will help us with the baby. Esperanza had been with the Mercado family since she was a young girl, and she had looked after Francisco when he was a baby. Esperanza came right away. She took good care of Adela, but after the birth of the baby, Adela was ill. She grew weaker, and shortly after, she held her little girl for the first and last time. Quietly, she died. Francisco was heartbroken. He named his baby daughter Adelita, little Adela, after her mother. Francisco was sad for his Adela, and he missed her greatly. But gradually, Adelita filled his heart with love. Time passed, and Adelita grew into a beautiful young woman. La Casa Mercado se llenó de alegría. The Mercado house was full of happiness. One evening, Francisco called Adelita and Esperanza to his study. My dear Adelita, my good Esperanza, les tengo noticias. I have some news for you. I have met a charming woman and have decided to marry again. Her name is Señora Micaela de la Fortuna. She is a widow and has 2 daughters close to your age, Adelita. I know you will like Doña Micaela and her daughters, Valentina and Dulce. Adelita was happy for her father. Esperanza wasn't so sure, especially after she met Doña Micaela and her daughters. Que frías son. They're cold ones, Esperanza said. Life was happy but different. Adelita had to share her father's attention, but they still managed to have importantes momentos juntos, special moments together. Adelita didn't mind that Doña Micaela favored her daughters, even though Esperanza complained. Es natural, it's natural, Adelita told her. Then suddenly her father died from an illness, and everything changed. Poor Adelita was an orphan. Doña Micaela had always been jealous of Adelita. Now she no longer had to hide it. She moved Adelita from her beautiful bedroom to a small room in the attic. No longer did Adelita have new dresses. She had to wear hand-me-downs. Worst of all, Valentina and Dulce were mean and hateful to her. Adelita began spending all her time in the kitchen with Esperanza. She helped her with the meals. She listened to stories about her father as a boy and her mother as a young bride. Because she knew that Esperanza loved her, Adelita's heart stayed as warm as the fire in the hearth. One day, Doña Micaela came to the kitchen and spoke to them. I am spending too much money in this household. From now on, you, Adelita, will work in the kitchen. You are here all the time anyway. And you, Esperanza, out. I want you to leave immediately. Oh, Señora de la Fortuna, please don't send me away, Esperanza pleaded. I have been with this family since I was a girl. I will work for no money, just for a place to lay my head and a bowl of beans and a tortilla. Oh, please, Mama, Adelita begged. Esperanza can share my room and my food. Out, shouted Señora Micaela de la Fortuna to Esperanza. Then, in an icy voice, she spoke to Adelita. And don't you dare call me Mama again. I am Doña Micaela to you. She turned and left, nose in the air. Entre lágrimas y abrazos, amid tears and hugs, poor Esperanza said goodbye to Adelita and left with her meager belongings. Adelita was in despair. The days ahead held nothing but loneliness and hard work. Adelita had to prepare all the meals, clean the rooms, and fetch and carry for Valentina and Dulce, who became more like maldad y vinagre, meanness and vinegar. Mis hijas, my daughters, Doña Micaela said one morning as Adelita was serving breakfast. El Señor and La Señora Gordilla have sent us an invitation to una fiesta en su hacienda, a party at their ranch, to celebrate the homecoming of their son, Javier. Mamá, Valentina and Dulce twittered. And, Doña Micaela said with a smile, se rumora, rumor has it, that he will be looking for a wife. The daughters nearly fainted. Secretly, each wanted to be the wife of Javier, and each would do anything to get him. Doña Micaela, Adelita asked as she poured the hot chocolate, may I go too? I knew Señor Javier when we were young. I would love to see him again. Are you serious? Doña Micaela asked. Look at you, so poorly dressed, such a dirty face. I would be too embarrassed to have you in our company. You will stay here. Y punto. That is final. Adelita went back to the kitchen. The next days were busy. Adelita did not have a minute to herself. Washing, pressing, sewing ribbons on, taking lace off, at the mercy of every little capricho, whim of the sisters as each tried to outdo the other. So, when Doña Micaela, Valentina, and Dulce left for the fiesta, Adelita went to the kitchen and sat by the fire. Suddenly, the disappointment swept over her and she began to weep. She missed her father. She missed Esperanza. She missed being at the fiesta. Tap, tap, tap. She heard a soft knock at the door. Who is it? Adelita asked. Soy yo, only me. It was Esperanza. Oh, Esperanza, I have missed you so much, Adelita cried. Don't cry, mi pequeñita, my little one, Esperanza said. I am here. I had un sueño, a dream, that Doña Micaela would not let you go to the fiesta. So I had to come help. I have borrowed a cart to take you there. But I have nothing to wear, Adelita said. Come with me, Esperanza said. They went to the Cuarto de Tiliches, the storeroom. Over there, behind those boxes, is your mother's trunk. The key is behind the crucifix. Adelita unlocked the trunk. Inside, she found an old-fashioned, beautiful white dress. Under the dress was a magnificent rebozo, shawl, embroidered with birds and flowers. Oh, mi mamacita, my little mother, Adelita whispered. Adelita washed and dressed. Esperanza braided her hair and wound ribbons and flowers into it. Oh, Esperanza, Adelita said, Doña Micaela will be furious when she sees me. Don't worry, she will never recognize you, Esperanza assured her. Now, vámonos, let's hurry. The fiesta had already begun when Adelita arrived. She walked into the room. Everyone turned to look. The room fell silent. Who was this stunning young woman? Señor Gordillo went up to Adelita. Who do we have here? He asked. I'm in disguise, Adelita said with a twinkle and a sweet smile. Just call me Cenicienta, Cinderella. Javier, everyone, Señor Gordillo said, come meet our very own Cenicienta. Javier took one look and fell in love. He danced every dance with Adelita. He brought her refreshments. He never left her side. Adelita's heart was full as well, and all the meanness she had suffered over the years began to melt. But at midnight, when Javier gave her a sweet kiss and declared his love, Adelita was frightened. How could she explain who she was? His family would never allow him to love a kitchen maid. So Adelita ran away and found Esperanza. They hurried home. I will never forget this night as long as I live, Esperanza, Adelita said. Gracias, thank you. If you ever need me, mijita, my little daughter, just call my name, and somehow I will hear you, Esperanza told her. The next day, all Doña Micaela and her two daughters could talk about was the mysterious Cenicienta, who had appeared and then disappeared from the fiesta, just like the fairy tale. They were jealous of her beauty, and even more jealous, because they knew that Javier had fallen in love with her. I'm glad no one knows who she is, Valentina said. Or where she is, Dulce said. And no zapatillo de cristal, glass slipper, Doña Micaela added. Javier had told everyone that he would not rest until he found his Cenicienta. He is coming to town hoy mismo, this very day, Doña Micaela announced. He will stop at each house and look for her. This is a chance to show once more what charms you have, my daughters. So prepare yourselves. Who knows? Maybe one of you will make him forget this Cenicienta. Adelita, they screamed, come help us quickly. I will be right there, Adelita answered. But before she went to Valentina and Dulce, she ran to her attic room and hung her mother's rebozo out the window. She helped the two sisters dress. Then she went back to her room and shyly peeked out the window. Soon she saw Javier coming down the street on his horse. Suddenly, he saw the rebozo. He jumped down, ran to the door, and knocked. Señora Micaela de la Fortuna opened the door. Ah, Señor Javier. Pásale, por favor. Come in, please, she said. Señora, where is she? I know my love is here, Javier said. Oh, do you mean one of my daughters? Doña Micaela said. Valentina, Dulce, come here. Señor Javier would like to see you. The sisters appeared in the doorway, giggling foolishly. Buen dia. Good day, Señor Javier. They charmed in unison. Do you remember us? Are you looking for us? Yes, ladies, I remember you, Javier answered. But it's another that I'm looking for. There's no one else here, Doña Micaela said. Yes, there is, a voice said. Are you looking for me, Señor? There was Adelita, standing at the top of the stairs in her mother's dress and rebozo. My Cenicienta, Javier said. What's going on? Doña Micaela asked, while Valentina and Dulce looked at Adelita in astonishment. It's only Adelita, Doña Micaela, Adelita said as she came down the stairs. Only Adelita. Who are you? Javier asked. I am Adelita Mercado Martinez. We knew each other when we were children. Oh, Adelita, of course. I remember you as a little girl, Javier gasped. I am so happy to have found you again. He smiled. I have come to ask my Cenicienta to marry me. Will you? I am an orphan, Señor Javier, Adelita said. Perhaps you should ask Doña Micaela if she will give her permission. Will you, Señora? Javier asked. Why, I don't know. I don't know what... well, of course. We shall be honored, Señor Javier, Doña Micaela said. Valentina and Dulce glared at Adelita. Then it will be, Javier said, taking Adelita's hand in his. In her sweetness, Adelita invited Señora Micaela de la Fortuna Mercado and her daughters, Valentina and Dulce, to the wedding. Of course, Esperanza was there too. She was going to take care of Javier and Adelita just as she had done before. And just like Cenicienta and her príncipe prince, we shall live muy felices por siempre, happily ever after too, Javier said. And they did. The end.
The Bonza, a Haitian story by Diane Wolkstein and pictures by Mark Brown. On the island of Haiti, there once lived a little tiger named Tigre and a little goat named Cabri. Usually, tigers and goats are enemies, but these two were best friends. They had met during a thunderstorm when they had each run into the same cave for shelter. The storm had lasted all night, and when they came out in the morning, everything seemed strange to them, for they had come out of the cave by a different entrance and were lost. They were both quite small, lonely, and afraid. They looked at each other. Cabri brayed, "Ba ba." Tigre roared, "Rrr." "Do you want to be friends?" Cabri asked. "Now," Tigre answered. So they wandered over the countryside, played together, sharing whatever food they found, and sleeping close to each other at night for warmth. Then, one morning, they found themselves in front of the cave where they had first met. "Rrr." Cabri turned, but it was not Tigre who had roared. "Rrr." It was a roar of another tiger. "Mama! Papa! Auntie!" Tigre cried joyfully as the three huge tigers bounded out of the bushes. Cabri ran into the cave without waiting. After a while, Tigre went to find Cabri, but Cabri refused to come out of the cave, so Tigre went home with his family. The next morning, Tigre went to the cave alone. "Cabri," he called, "I brought you a bonza." Cabri poked her head out of the cave. "A bonza? What's that?" "A little banjo," Tigre said. "It belonged to my uncle, but I want you to have it, so it will protect you." "How will the bonza protect me?" Cabri asked. "Auntie says the bonza belongs to the heart, and there is no stronger protection than the heart. When you play the bonza, Auntie says to place it over your heart, and one day the heart and bonza will be one." "Is that true?" "Oh, Cabri, I don't really know, but I know I shall not forget you." Tigre placed the bonza around his friend's neck. Then he turned to go. "Where are you going?" Cabri asked. "Home," Tigre answered, and the little tiger ran back to his family without stopping. Cabri stepped out of the cave so she could see the bonza more clearly. It was a beautiful bonza, and when the sun shone on it, it gleamed. Cabri held the bonza over her heart. She stroked it gently. A friendly, happy sound came out. She stroked it again, and before she realized it, she was trotting through the forest, humming to herself and stopping now and then to play a tune on the bonza. One afternoon, Cabri came to a spring. She wanted to drink, but she was afraid the bonza would get wet, so she took it off and carefully laid it down in the bushes. As she drank the cool, sweet water, she heard a low growl behind her. "Rrr." Turning quickly, Cabri saw 4 large, hungry tigers. Cabri wanted to leap across the stream and run away, but the bonza was in the bushes behind the tigers. No, she would not leave the bonza Tigre had given her. Slowly and fiercely, Cabri walked toward the bonza. Another tiger appeared. Now there were 5. Cabri kept walking. "Where are you going?" the leader shouted. Cabri reached the bushes. She picked up the bonza and hung it around her neck. Then she turned to the tigers. 5 more jumped out of the bushes. Now there were 10. "What have you put around your neck?" asked the leader. And Cabri, trying to quit her thundering, pounding heart, brought her foreleg to her chest and, by mistake, plucked the bonza. "A musician," said the chief, laughing. "So you wish to play us a song?" "No," said Cabri. "No," echoed the leader, and all the tigers took a step closer to Cabri. "Tigre!" Cabri wanted to shout, but Tigre was far away and she was alone, surrounded by the tigers. No, she was not completely alone. She still had the bonza Tigre had given her. Cabri's heart beat very fast, but in time to her heartbeat, she stroked the bonza. She opened her mouth and a song came out. To her own surprise, it was a loud, low, ferocious song. 10 fat tigers, 10 fat tigers, Cabri eats tigers raw. Yesterday, Cabri ate 10 tigers. Today, Cabri eats 10 more. The tigers were astonished. Who is Cabri, and where did you learn that song? Demanded the chief. I am Cabri, Cabri answered in a new deep voice, and noticing how frightened the tigers looked, she added, and that is my song. I always sing it before dinner. The tiger chief realized that 3 of his tigers had suddenly disappeared. Madame Cabri, he said, you play beautifully. Permit me to offer you a drink. Very well, said Cabri. Bring Madame Cabri a drink, he ordered the 2 tigers closest to him, and as they started to leave, he whispered, and don't come back. 5 tigers stared at Madame Cabri. Cabri stared back. Then she stroked her banza and sang a little slower, but just as intently. 5 fat tigers, 5 fat tigers, Cabri eats tigers raw. Yesterday, Cabri ate 10 tigers. Today, Cabri eats 5 more. Oh, something dreadful must happen to my tigers, said the leader. You, he mentioned to the 2 tigers nearest to him, go fetch Madame Cabri a drink. And again he whispered, and don't come back. Now only 3 tigers quaked before Madame Cabri. Cabri sang, 3 fat tigers, 3 fat tigers, Cabri eats tigers raw. Yesterday, Cabri ate 10 tigers. Today, Cabri eats 3 more. When she finished her song, only the leader remained. Cabri began, 1 fat tiger. Please, whispered the leader, please let me go. I promise no tiger will ever bother you again. Cabri looked at the trembling tiger. All she had done was to play the banza and sing what was in her heart. So Tigra's auntie was right. Her heart had protected her heart and her banza. Please, begged the leader, I'll do whatever you wish. Then go at once to Tigra, the little tiger who lives near the cave. Tell Tigra, today Cabri's heart and the banza are one. Yes, said the tiger. Today Cabri's heart and the banza are one, and the tiger chief ran off to find Tigra. With her banza gleaming around her neck, Cabri went trotting through the forest. But every now and then she would stop. She would stroke her banza and sing, for her heart would have a new song.
I hope you like both videos. Don't forget to vote.